And then I will share the screen. There's no videos or anything in this, Paula, is there?
There actually is, yes, where they have
Okay,
the dancing. I do have a video.
no problem. That's just a different box I
That's
need to
the
check.
only video.
So, all right, take it away.
All right. Well, thank you very much, first and foremost, to Joey for asking me and to bring this back. So it was about 8 years ago that I presented this internally for colleagues. We had a series of lunch and learns, and I presented this, and it was right after. So it's been about 8 years. I went to Greece for my 50th birthday. So it was fresh in my mind and fresh in my experience, and I was really happy to do it. So thank you, Anita, and thank you, Maureen, for joining us today. This can be somewhat interactive. I will welcome your questions. And if I'm not able to answer your question, I'll take a note and I'll get back with you, hopefully with an answer. So, celebrating our uniqueness, Greek Orthodoxy and customs. I am Greek on my dad's side, second generation, Polish and Czech on my mother's, but that's for another presentation. But I very much closely identify with my Greek heritage. I was raised in the Greek Orthodox Church, and so that gives you a little bit of background, which I'll give you throughout the presentation. So, first and foremost, where in the world is Greece? And okay, Joey, so you'll take care of that for me, right? So
Got it.
this gives you, thank you. This gives you a worldly perspective of where Greece is. Okay. In comparison, it's about a 7 hour difference from the US. So they're 7 hours ahead of us. So coming, into the evening hour. I'm ready, Joey. And Joey, I don't mind flipping if it would be easier for me to go to the next screen.
Because I'm the one sharing it, I have to be the one in control of it. But so
Okay,
you just
no
tell me when
problem.
to flip. So
I am ready to flip. Okay, so here's looking a closer look. So this actually gives you an idea in relation to other countries. So Albania is a neighbor. Macedonia, this is former Republic of Macedonia. I'm sure you've heard about that transition. Bulgaria, Turkey. Turkey's large here. Istanbul. So my people, my paternal grandmother was from Sparta, and that would be the Peloponnese, which is this area. Can they see my cursor, Joey? Can they see my arrow?
no, it will be my cursor. So
Okay. So in this, right where your cursor just was, so where Patra is, Aegina, that's considered the Peloponnese area. And my paternal grandfather was from Tripoli. So Sparta and Tripoli were about 45 minutes apart. That's how my grandparents met. And if I didn't mention, my father was first generation American. So both of my grandparents did come from Greece. I'm second generation. All right, Joey, I'm ready for the next. The Greek national flag. So obviously you all can read, but I will read some of the facts along with you. So blue and white have been interpreted as symbolizing the colors of the Greek sky and sea. And I will tell you when I visited, the sea was a deep navy, but it was definitely, you could capture the color of navy. It was not murky water like what we're used to here in the Atlantic. But it also is not what you may think of as a turquoise color, like some of the islands. It was a deep navy blue. And if you notice, take a look at the flag, there is a cross on the left-hand corner, which recognizes Eastern Orthodox Christianity, and that's the established religion for the Greek people of Greece and Cyprus. The 9 stripes signify the 9 syllables made when the word freedom is pronounced in Greek. And there was a 400-year oppression under the Ottoman Empire. So when Joey asked me to speak, I was so pleased to do it. And this week marks the celebration of our Greek independence. So I will put a little plug in here that if you're interested in attending a parade, there is a Greek Independence Day parade this Sunday in Highlandtown, Greektown. So many of my church friends and family will be present, and that is Sunday. All right, Joey, I'm ready for the next. So Eastern Christianity, which is the Greek Orthodox faith, falls under the Eastern Christianity, is a broad term that encompasses Christian traditions found in the Balkans, Eastern Europe, Asia Minor, Africa, the Middle East, and parts of the Far East. All Christian traditions that did not develop in Western Europe are thus considered to be a part of Eastern Christianity. However, the term does not denote any single tradition or church. 2 of the largest Eastern Christian sects are the Oriental Orthodoxy and the Eastern Orthodox Church. While sharing some beliefs, these 2 churches disagree on fundamental issues of theology. And that's why I mentioned it. If you have specific questions, I'm certainly happy to entertain them, but I am not a theologian, so I may not be able, to answer them outright. Okay, Joey, next screen, please. This is actually a photo of the cathedral where I was christened, which is currently at Maryland Avenue and Preston Streets in Baltimore City. This was not originally a Greek Orthodox church, but when many Greeks formed, I guess the earlier congregations, this building was bought. I'm not certain whether it was a Presbyterian church prior, but I know the church historian for the Annunciation Cathedral, again, that's the picture we're viewing, he would have the history on that. So in the West, the term Oriental is often used as a synonym for Eastern. So when it comes to religious traditions, however, the 2 words denote different churches. So Oriental Orthodox churches are distinct from those referred to as the Eastern Orthodox Church, and the Oriental Orthodox can be further subdivided into 6 organizations. You may have heard of the Coptic Church, Ethiopian Orthodox, Syriac Orthodox, Eritrean, which was formerly Eritrea was Ethiopia, Indian Syrian Orthodox, and American Apostolic. These branches are in communion with one another, but have distinct and different hierarchies. Next screen, please, Joey. This also is the actual cathedral downtown. Again, that's where I was christened. I do occasionally attend that church, but I typically on any given Sunday am now at St. Demetrius Greek Orthodox Church, which is up in the Cub Hill area. So Oriental versus Eastern Orthodox. Oriental Orthodoxy and Eastern Orthodox churches disagree on which of the ecumenical councils they recognize. The ecumenical councils were a series of conferences where church leaders and theologians would meet to discuss and settle important matters of church doctrine. Again, the photo that you're looking at is actually during our Holy Week. This would be a Holy Friday service because that is the epitaphial, which signifies the tomb of Christ. So that's it's decorated with lilies and orchids and carnations, all of white. So that is an actual photo of what, again, if you were to attend a Greek Orthodox Holy Friday service, this is what you would see. Next screen, please. All right, so oftentimes people associate, small groups who may be Orthodox, but I've combined a whole list here: Albanians, Armenians, Bulgarians, Egyptians. We've already mentioned the Ethiopians, Eritreans, Georgians, which are, Jordanians, Macedonians, Palestinian culture, Romanians, Russians, Serbians, Syrians, and the Ukrainians all practice under the Orthodox faith. Next screen, please. So essential facts relating to our faith. And some of these are similar. You might see some of this with, for example, the Roman Catholic faith also. Only males are ordained as priests. We believe this is the natural succession that dates back to the time of Christ. He selected the 12 apostles who were all men. I will say to you that, being female, I don't feel in any sense or way that there's no signs of oppression. I'll just say it like that. My sisters and I'm the youngest of three daughters, and, we were raised by our Greek father who, instilled in us, how do you feel? What do you think? We had a very solid and heard voice in the home. But there are traditions that we recognize and respect. But again, I cannot say that has put me off in any way with regards to feeling seen also in our faith. In fact, oftentimes I've heard the priest from the pulpit mention the women of our faith and church and state that he realizes, that we are a big force behind the scenes that keep the wheel spinning. Liturgies are typically held on Sunday mornings and run approximately 2 hours. Yes, our services do tend to be long, but within the liturgy, which interchange terms, again, Roman Catholicism would use the word Mass. So ours is called a liturgy. There's a lot of socialization that takes place. We offer communion every week, so depending on how many people are partaking of the Eucharist, that also takes up time. Churches are named after saints or special feast days. So an example would be the Annunciation Cathedral, Saints Constantine and Helen, Saint Demetrius, etc. When we enter the church itself, candles are lit by the faithful to remind us that Christ is the light of the world. And also the candles represent your prayers being lifted to heaven, so to speak. So taken from scripture, John 8:12, I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will never walk in darkness, but will have the light of life. And then again here, we also light candles in honor or memory of loved ones, in addition to lighting them for special requests. So it could be thanking the Lord for good health or recovered health. It could be expressing appreciation and gratefulness for friendships or for a recent job that's come to be. Priests bless the altar, church, and congregation with incense that's in a censer. And he also sends his baptismal fonts during christenings and grave sites at burials. It is believed that the smoke of the incense carries our prayers to heaven. Orthodox Christians place the sign of the cross over themselves to request a blessing from God. And 3 fingers denote the Trinity, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. And the other fingers represent the 2 natures of Christ, the divine and human. Please, feel free again to write down questions, and we can discuss it. More essential facts. Orthodox Christians bless themselves beginning with the forehead, then down to the belly area, over to the right shoulder, since Christ is seated at the right hand of the Father, then left shoulder, ending with their hand over the heart. And also specifically taken from Matthew 25, verses 31 through 46, he will set the sheep on his right side and the goats on the left. Communion is given by the priest from a chalice, which is filled with bread, which denotes the body, and wine, which denotes blood. I know some churches now, it's a wafer with grape juice. We still observe the breaking of the bread at the Last Supper with Christ's disciples. So that's why we still honor the bread and the wine. The Orthodox believe that by the consecration, the bread and wine are truly changed into the body and blood of Christ. I know some people, especially during COVID, were not comfortable from partaking of the same communion spoon. But in the act of communion, the entire church, past, present, and even the future, is united in eternity. So, again, I am somewhat familiar with some other faiths, and I know that when they partake of communion, they may put out their hands for the wafer, which is signifying, the body of Christ. But the bread is broken and it's placed in the wine. And when we are given communion, we get a piece of that bread from the chalice, as well as the wine on the same spoon. So icons are painted images of biblical events and saints by iconographers. They are representations of the heavens. Orthodox Christians, we pay our respects to them. This is called venerating the icon and is done to show respect. You will see us frequently kissing the icon or gently touching it. In no way do we believe that this is a form of idolatry. We are not worshiping the actual icon. It's just meant to give us a window into heaven, saints, and again, specific events that we hear about throughout the Bible. Next screen, please. Mediterranean diet. So the interesting thing is when I was visiting Greece, oftentimes dinner was late in the evening, much later than I eat here even. It might be 8 or 9 p.m. And while the Mediterranean diet is extremely, extremely healthy, I don't believe that that's the reason why Greeks and other Mediterranean cultures may be healthier. My experience, again, firsthand, was we did a lot of walking. And Greece is relatively hilly. It's not a flat terrain. Very mountainous, so oftentimes there's an incline, but we did a lot of walking. I actually lost a few pounds while on vacation, and I can assure you I was partaking of all of the goodies. We were eating late at night, still came back, ending up losing some weight. So I think it's a combination of the very healthy diet plus lifestyle. The diet is full of fresh foods, including fruits, vegetables, herbs, fish, olive oil, breads, nuts, legumes, and pastas. There's not a high consumption of red meats. Lamb would be the primary meat that is eaten, obviously poultry as well. Greeks eat more olive oil than butter. That would be their healthy fat. Um, Refined and processed grains and foods. Certainly, Greece is modern in certain cities, Athens, of course, and other towns, but you would not see the consumption of the daily fast foods like Americans eat here. Absolutely, I didn't see that. But again, there was still, plenty of desserts. Here we go. This is one of my favorites. No, Joey, you were good. That was perfect timing. Thank you. So this dessert, as I mentioned, it's one of my personal favorites. I know many of you are familiar with baklava. Baklava is very good in personal taste, but this is a custard filling in the phyllo, which is that dough crusty area that you see. Greeks partake of this, Turkish and Syrian. It's made of semolina and custard baked in phyllo, as I mentioned. And then honey. We love our honey. In fact, I want to tell you, I have honey on my desk, and I also have Greek olives on my desk. So that was not planned for this. This is just a part of my daily terrain. All right, I'm ready for the next screen, Joey. Thank you. This is another favorite. I make gouroumbieves. A lot of Greek food and desserts, they are very intensive to make, but this is one that I do make. Basically like a butter cookie, if you think of it. Just like any other traditional Greek recipe, every family has their own version. So here, as it's stated, in Greece, many people use goat or sheep butter instead of cow's milk butter. It's common to spray the cookies with rose or orange blossom water before covering them in confectioner's sugar. And in some parts of Greece, gouroumbieves are flavored with mastika, which is resin from a tree, actually. But one of the things that I absolutely love, and you also see this in the Eastern Indian culture, is that they use rose water also in their desserts. So very fragrant to taste, also to smell. If you haven't had this, I highly recommend it. Next screen, please. This is the orange cake, which is not easy to find. I've had quite a time finding it locally. It was my favorite dessert in Greece. And portokolakia are oranges in Greece. Or in Greek, that's the name of an orange. And here you see that's the version of the cake name as well. Fluffy, colorful, and moist. It was made with scented syrup of oranges, aromas and blends of oranges and cinnamon. I was able to find this in New York. Astoria is known to be heavily infested with Greeks, and I was able to find this up in Astoria at a local cafe. Next screen, please. We're going to be all hungry by lunchtime. So occasionally, sometimes it's okay to start with dessert. That's what I would encourage you for today's meal. Start with your dessert. These are melomakarona, is how you say that, melomakarona. Also, they may be called finikia. Meli, again, is honey. So that's incorporated into this name because for the most part, again, most pastries and Greek desserts are made or somehow incorporate honey, whether it's drizzled on top or in the actual recipe. So these are traditional Greek Christmas cookies. They're served during Christmas time throughout Greece. But if you were to attend a Greek festival here locally, you certainly could find these. So again, I've broken down the word. It's a combination of the two words meli, which means honey, and makarona, which means blessed. Next screen, please, Joey. Popular liqueurs. So most of you are probably familiar with ouzo. It's typically, it depends on which restaurant you go to. Here in the States, I have found that they usually serve it after dinner. Okay. In Greece, a lot of times it was served prior to your dinner. And the mastika was served more frequently than ouzo. Similar taste. If you're familiar with anise, and I know the Italians have a similar liqueur, that's more of the taste of ouzo. The mastika, it's a unique flavor. It's an acquired taste. I personally love it. Seasoned with mastic, which is a resin, again, with a slightly pine or cedar-like flavor, which is gathered from the mastic tree, which are small evergreens native to that region, and specifically the island of Chios. So I'm sure you've heard anise is good, can settle your stomach, just like maybe ginger. Same is believed and true of mastika or the mastic. So it's believed to have medicinal properties, also used in flavoring chewing gum. Also, if you see here, it helps, it's believed that it helps in digestion. I do believe that. Again, some of these things I remember when I presented for my colleagues, we had people of different ethnicities, and in one of the cultures, for example, Indian, they serve you seeds. You can get like candy coated seeds after fennel seeds, in fact, after eating a meal, which is known also to aid in digestion. Now, ouzo, if you're familiar with it, it's typically served, it's clear, but if you add ice, it becomes a milky white color. And the essential oil of anise, here's just a factoid here, completely soluble in alcohol, but not in water. Okay, Joey, you're fine to move ahead. Thank you. Dancing and music are both very much a part of the Greek life, as they are of many cultures. We see and hear them during local festivals, village celebrations, weddings, and personal parties. I personally like to listen to it when I'm cooking or cleaning. I add music in. Greeks don't need a special occasion to get up and dance or listen to music, and yes, it's usually very loud. Common instruments heard in Greek music are the bouzoukia, which is like a lute. And I believe I have pictures later in the presentation. Clarinet and violin, they are very common instruments. All right, next screen. So this is the Kalamatianos. It's a dance of Kalamata, which is a specific region in Greece, which you also may be familiar with the Kalamata olives. Okay, so Joey, I'm ready for the video.
Can everyone see that now?
Yes.
All right.
Can we rewind it by any chance? So here, similar to the Jewish tradition, we typically form a circle and hold hands. And then you typically have a leader, which would be the woman in the red blouse here that you're seeing now with her back towards it. She's leading the group. And this was probably, if I have to say, it's just an outside taverna where friends and family have gathered to eat and drink, and the music gets turned on, and everybody's up and starts dancing, and that can go into the wee hours of the morning. All right, the Mati, or the evil eye, as I'm sure you're familiar with and heard, it's known as the evil eye. Again, this is not just native to Greek culture. Some people would say that this originated, the Eye of Horus, from Africa. And many other cultures observe this. It is believed to be the Mati is believed to be a curse which has been cast onto you by someone who is envious or jealous of you. We also have some superstitions which the priests in the church would not be very happy with. However, we are also told that if someone compliments you, but it's a backhanded compliment, right? They're not going to come out and tell you how they really feel if they're envious or jealous. But if it's a backhanded compliment, that they can put this curse on you, if you will. So I remember vividly as a little girl hearing stories, if you're overcome with a headache just out of the blue and not coming down with the flu or anything else, or, maybe if you were around a new grouping of folks that you didn't know so well, that sometimes it was believed that they could have ill wishes towards you, and perhaps, whether it's intentional or not, given you a curse, or that's the reason for you feeling ill or having a headache. So it is believed that to protect yourself from this curse, the Mati, you wear a charm. And I have all kinds of Matis. I have them over my door before you enter the house. I have bracelets. I have earrings. I'm wearing a ring. I don't know, can you all see that? So, again, little superstitious, which is not always approved of by the faithful. But for me, it connects me, to my people. And I think of it in a much more lighthearted way. I will tell you something interestingly. These are typically made of ceramic or glass. And if it breaks, so let's say I had one on my door, for example, at work at another location, and one of my colleagues happened to slam the door, and it fell and the charm broke. And she was so upset, really very apologetic. And I said, no worry, because the interesting thought behind it is that the Mati is actually protecting you. So if it breaks, you don't have a worry, right? Because whatever curse may have been cast, or whatever anyone was saying negatively about you, now the Mati has broken, you can move on as usual. So you see that it does resemble an eye. The most famous Greek charm against the Mati is the blue piece of glass with an eye painted on it. And that's what's seen here. Next screen, please, Joey. So spitting. I don't know of any other tradition that does this, so I say that only the Greeks will understand, is the idea that spitting chases the devil away. And we're not literally spitting, but you make a sound mimicking spitting, and stops anything evil from happening to you. So I put here the idea that Greeks are actually spitting is false. They're saying this word 3 times. 3 times is referencing the Trinity, and the sound mimics the sound of spitting. The tradition is used when someone mentions a death or bad news, when someone mentions the beauty or health of someone, or so that you don't get the mati and the curse. Remember what I just said, or when someone is complimenting a baby or child, that way it doesn't give the person mentioned the evil eye. The other thing about spitting that I did not put here is that we also do something similar in the baptism presentation. So when the baby is being presented for christening or baptism, we are denouncing the devil. There's actually a prayer that is mentioned where you turn your back, and you turn your back, basically you're turning your back on the devil, and spitting is mentioned during that time as well, during that prayer. All right, next screen. I think Kalomina. For Greeks, that means good month. It's usually the first of the month. It's a traditional Greek greeting to say to each other on the first day of each month. And it's interesting and very, very sweet, because since giving this to colleagues years ago and mentioning this, that has stuck with some of my colleagues. They will actually reach out to me periodically and wish me a Kalomina or a good month. So the first day of the month symbolizes fresh starts, new beginnings. So when you say Kalomina to someone, you are wishing them a good and successful full month ahead. Next screen. Plate smashing. Oh, those crazy Greeks are smashing all of this good china, right? I don't think we do this much anymore, unfortunately. But I do think that was a fun thing that we used to see. Zorba the Greek, perhaps you may have seen it in some of the older movies. So one of the most entertaining traditions of Greeks is smashing plates. It's done by Greeks to express joy and happiness. No, we're not angry or fighting. To express their delight for music being played at a party. In 1969, smashing plates was banned at concerts and clubs, being replaced by flowers instead. However, the tradition is still enjoyed by Greeks and will be seen during private parties, with plaster plates being used instead. So, I can see it is a mess. We want to make sure that we are conscious of the environment. So there you have it, smashing of the plates. Next screen, please, Joey. Greeks you may have heard about. John Stamos and Jennifer Aniston, they were actors. Yanni is internationally recognized as a composer, keyboardist, pianist, and music producer. Obviously, Peter Angelos, who was a trial lawyer and baseball executive, philanthropist, and John Paterakis, who founded the local H&S Bakery, who was a real estate developer and also a big giver to the Greek community and churches. Next screen, please. So popular Greek phrases. Kalimera means good morning. Kalimikta is good night. Efkaristo is thank you. Parakalo means you're welcome. Sagapo is I love you. So you can start speaking to your loved ones, wishing them good wishes in another language. They might think you're cursing at them. But you'll actually be saying nice things to them. All right, next screen. Kali Anorosi, well wishes to all of you. So that's the conclusion of my presentation. I thank you for being here, and I do open it up for questions or comments. Thank you to Thea and Anita and Maureen for being present today. And Joey, thank you so very much for helping me navigate this.
Of course. I've been wanting to go to Greece for a while, so this will
You will get there. Take me in your suitcase, Joey.
Okay. So what I got from this presentation is that the My Big Fat Greek Wedding series is pretty accurate.
That would be true. That absolutely is true. Now, the interesting part about that, I've heard from some of my neighbors and good friends that might be Irish or Italian who really identified with that as well. So I guess, in all of our cultures, we have these little things that come up that we say, oh, we live that way. We know it.
Hmm.
Although I personally, we did not have the Windex thing. I will tell you really what my big fat Greek wedding reminded me of very much of the Greek culture of Highlandtown.
Hmm,
And most of them really are right from the other side.
cool.
So, ladies, any questions, comments? Are
Well,
you
the
there?
good Greek festivals here locally. Um, do you know which ones? Are there some that have more to offer than others?
I wouldn't say that there are more to offer than others. The other than it may depend on the size of the church.
Okay.
Um, so, and really with most things, I think it's personal preference. So again, I was christened at the Annunciation Cathedral downtown on Preston and Maryland Avenue. I like to support them to this day. I'm dear friends with their historian. They have, I'm going to say, somewhat less space than St. Demetrius up here on in Cub Hill area, but they also, I will say, the members that they attract. How do I say this? I find that a lot of the members of the Annunciation, I would say they are very intellectual, well educated. And probably if I had to say, you're not asking this, but in terms of offering, I would say that they're probably a very financially wealthy parish.
Now, is
Um,
that Saint Sophia's or that's a different church?
no, Saint Sophia is. Are you thinking of the one in Washington?
Yeah.
Yes.
I guess
No.
I haven't been to the Annunciation, so I don't know where that is. I got on a little bit late. I don't know,
That's
11:03 or
it.
5, something like that. So I didn't realize where it is. I'll look it up.
No. Are you Greek with your name?
I'm half Greek. Theodore Knight, but I was Theodora Carulus or Carulus, supposedly.
So
Uh,
I also am here. My dad was the Greek though, and I identify, I'm Polish Czech on my mom's side, which I said earlier in the presentation, but I was raised in the Orthodox faith and very much identify to my Greek side. St. Sophia's is in Washington.
right. So the Annunciation Church is also down there. Is that what you're
No.
saying? It's
Well, there
not?
might be, so the Annunciation Cathedral,
Oh,
keep in mind, many of the cathedrals and churches, as I mentioned, they're named after an event biblically or specific saints. So you're going to find another Saint Sophia's throughout the nation. There are
right.
numerous ones, right? Annunciation, you're going to find other churches named Annunciation. Ours happens to be a cathedral. Saint Demetrius, same. Um, but we do not have any St. Sophia's local. I don't remember. There is a church in Annapolis.
Yeah, I don't know if it's
Um,
Ellen and Constance. I forget what it is. There's something always going on, so I haven't been to their festival. I was to the one over by Towson or up that way. There's a Greek church up there. I don't know if that which one that is. But that was a really good one. I like that. But certain
does it sit up
weeks,
on a hill?
yeah,
That's St. Demetrius. So that's in the
okay.
Cub Hill area. So that's a little bit east of
Yes.
Towson.
Yeah.
That's, I
The
certainly
three
think, the
local
biggest
churches,
and well-known festival locally. So
yeah.
is the St.
So you have
Demetrius one.
St. Nicholas, right, up in Cub Hill. You have the Annunciation Cathedral. Their festival is actually coming up Mother's Day weekend.
Okay. Yeah,
They
sometimes the weekends, depending on what's going on, you can get to them or not. I know I used to live around the corner in Greenbelt to St. Theodore's, and I used to go to that. They have a festival
okay.
twice a week, but I never made it to St. Sophia's. There's a couple, or Annapolis, which I really would like to go to, and I don't know why. I just seem to forget to, something happens. I don't know.
Well, and there are
Conflicts.
many to get to, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
I will tell you, St. Mary's, if any of you, I'm going to give you that in just a minute because even though I'm Greek, wait a minute, I might have the name wrong. Bear with me here, just a minute. This is not a Greek Orthodox church. It is St. Mary's. St. Mary's Antiochian Orthodox Church, which is on Shawan Road in Cockeysville. I will tell you all, it's the most beautiful Orthodox church I've ever attended. And I'm Greek Orthodox, they're Antiochian, but the church is stunning. Absolutely breathtakingly beautiful.
Oh, maybe I could check it out sometime. That would be nice. I wasn't raised Orthodox. My mother was Roman Catholic and my dad was a merchant marine. So we didn't go to the church too often, but I knew all the food and all that from going to my yayas, but yeah, not the she took us one time, she said, we're not going for the whole mass because we were little kids. And she said, no, you'll never make it that long. So we went for
Oh,
like an hour, or so. But some of the customs I'm aware of, but not all of them, The evil eye I didn't know. I mean, they didn't practice that. I did see worry beads
yeah.
one time, but not I didn't see an evil eye, so that was new to me. I mean, new, I mean, I've seen it in the world, but it wasn't something that my grandparents did.
Yes, I hear you. Yeah, my father wasn't big on it either, but us girls, we liked it.
Right,
And again,
right,
my mother was Roman Catholic, and it's interesting, Thea, because in some families, the dynamic, let me say this, I'm speaking to Anita, Maureen, and Joey as well. Um, Ethnic women do have a reputation of being very strong women, feistiness.
Mhm.
And I would say that's not true of all,
Right.
certainly. And my mother, although she was not Greek, um, was not feisty. The three of us daughters do have a feisty side. Very, yes, we do. Very, and I embrace it wholeheartedly. Um, Spartan grandmother, so I am a Spartan woman, and I again embrace that. I literally, when I tell you that I truly believe for all of us, I don't think this is exclusive to me, that our heritage flows through our bloodline. I believe that it is in our DNA. When I visited Greece, and I don't think I look typically Greek, you know, the original Greek is actually blonde blue eyes, right? So
Spartans.
no, not the Spartans, but oh, who was it that would be the blonde, the blue eyes? Um,
I did hear that. I just didn't know which, yeah.
no, so whenever you see the dark eyes and the dark hair, that was the mixing of the Ottoman Empire and the Turks.
Oh, uh-oh. My dad would not like
Um,
that.
so I just say that because that is part of the history. Um, I'm trying to think. It was ancient Greek, is more the blonde and the blue eyes. And I'm sorry, I am not coming up with actually who I want to say first had that. But anyway, um, worry beads, yes, I did see that. I get the sense that people of my background tended to be somewhat anxious and worriers, you know,
Right,
thus the worry bead. And it's similar when you think of it to the rosary beads,
right, right.
but
Well, she
very
also
different.
had in her dining room, she had a little desk and she had an icon, picture of I don't know if it was the Virgin Mary, and she had a candle. She had one little place that in her house that she, you know,
Well, if I could move my office around with or my camera, um, I have an icon above my office door,
right.
and I have them throughout the house. And
Oh,
again, that's there were, in fact, if I go back and I may even redo or add to this presentation, because Thea, you brought up the part about the worry beads. I didn't mention holy water.
oh, I don't
You
know
know,
about the holy water so much. See, because I didn't go into the church, too often, but I know they
yeah.
have holy
So
water and they bless themselves when they walk in. And they do the sign of the cross, but different from the Roman Catholics. They go,
correct.
yeah,
I
but
did go over that a little bit, and
you
we
did.
do not have
Absolutely.
holy water. It is the Roman Catholics that have the holy water when you first walk into the church, because my
Right,
mom is also Roman Catholic. So
right.
I am
We
somewhat
always
familiar.
blessed ourselves with the water. I didn't realize they always light a candle. But I see the candles when you walk into the Greek churches. But I will
Yeah,
do
and
that more.
I always get a kick because, when I go into a Roman Catholic church, because I am used to lighting candles, I also will, leave a donation. But I always get a kick when I walk into a church and they are push button candles.
Oh,
So they're like
right,
battery operated.
right.
I believe the prayers are heard just the same. But, again, I'm very, very proud of my culture, and I like, there's a depth to it. I believe the Greek people, and it's been my experience, and I relate to the depth and the passion. And there at times is an intensity, yet we are very fun loving. I mean, we love, love, love to have a grand time.
Wow. It's good. And like I
Anita
say,
and
it's
Maureen?
very much very more social than the Roman Catholic because I know my dad would say, oh yeah, they have a meal after the church. They would go downstairs, have a meal, and I guess there was this other thing that they have during the viewings with the bulgur wheat or something. I forget.
Yes. For a
Um,
memorial service. Yes.
okay, that was
Tia, I would love, and I'm open if you would be interested, I would love for you to come visit St. Demetrius. I am on their welcoming committee, and you really do sound to me like you have an interest in, that side of your lineage. So I would be, not that I'm going to have all the answers for you, but
right.
certainly I'm happy to expose you to it.
How about that? Well, not so much me, but I should bring this up. I'm sorry I'm taking everybody's time. My cousins, who they're not seniors yet, senior citizens, she is looking into becoming a Greek citizen because she wants to live over there, but she's not sure how to get her dad's, really not her dad, her grandfather's paper. So my grandparents came from Ypres, and she's not sure how to they need a paperwork showing that they were born in Greece. And somebody told them, but they don't know, we don't have anything here other than their papers showing them when they came over on the boat. We don't have their birth certificate. We don't know where that happened, but we don't know how to, maybe I'll talk to you some other time. We have to contact somebody to figure out who to contact in Greece to
Right.
get their birth certificate.
And I
And
I
will
can
tell you, I have attended workshops, especially when I came back from Greece, looking at this sort of thing. They had a workshop at the Annunciation Cathedral downtown about this very thing. And one of the women, she had written a book researching her history. And she said, and it makes sense to me, that, you really have to allow for time and plan, because when you go to Greece, it's not like the US. I mean, things are definitely changing now, but it's not like where, an office might be there from 9 to 5, 5 days a
oh,
week. In Greece, in a small little village, you might be lucky if somebody is in the offices twice a month.
right. That would make
Right?
sense
You
because
might
they're
look
not
for
going to
the
sit there Right,
Mhm.
who's there? Who needs that stuff? But usually it's very sporadic, I would imagine. Well, I'm gonna tell her. And maybe they'll contact you, or even the Annunciation Church and see if they know more. Because that's she's trying to get a hold of she contacted the embassy already.
Yeah, that's really where she needs to start.
Wow. Okay.
I'm
Yeah,
not comfortable with the recording. If you can turn the recording
Yeah.
off,